Hello, welcome to D-Transit, and welcome to This Week in Transit. This week we'll look at financial woes in Florida, a new locomotive for Metro North, a huge influx of funding in the Garden State, rider approvals in California, and a new order for rolling stock in Ohio. If you'd enjoyed This Week in Transit so far, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, here's This Week in Transit. We'll first travel to the Sunshine State of Florida, where Tri-Rail is facing financial concerns. Tri-Rail is a commuter rail service that consists of one line connecting Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach along the southeast coast of Florida. According to the South Florida Regional Transportation Authority's financial statements, the service saw upwards of $105 million in funding from state and federal sources. But the service will experience a huge shock soon, as federal stimulus money begins to dry up, making up $90 million of funding annually for the commuter rail line. To begin covering the costs, Tri-Rail has asked the counties of Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade each to commit an additional $10 million per year, on top of the roughly $5 million already being provided by each county. This would only cover a third of the funding cuts for Tri-Rail, but the counties aren't sure they'd be able to cover the costs. Administrators from Palm Beach and Broward counties have said that funding is already an issue, let alone having to pay another $10 million. Tri-Rail currently sees 4.4 million riders a year, almost equivalent to its pre-pandemic numbers, and is a vital link for workers up and down the Miami coast. Our next stop takes us to the Northeast, where Metro North is expecting a huge expansion to their railcar fleet in anticipation of the Penn Station Access project. Penn Station Access is a complement project to LIRR's East Side Access, where Metro North would use the Northeast Corridor to come down through new stations in the Bronx and Queens and follow the East River tunnels into Penn Station, rather than terminating at their normal terminal of Grand Central. It offers Connecticut commuters easier access to the west side of Manhattan and allows for a one-stop change to New Jersey Transit services. For more information, check out the video that I've already made on Penn Station Access a while back. A major issue was electrification. Prior to its unification under Amtrak, the Northeast Corridor was owned south of New York City by the Pennsylvania Railroad and north of New York City by others. North of New York, the railroad was not electrified at the time of Amtrak's purchase, so a project took place to electrify the entire line from New Haven to Boston, converting to the 25 kilovolt alternating current at 60 Hz, the national standard. Metro North followed suit by matching this frequency for the portion between Hellgate Bridge and New Haven, syncing the electrification north of the Big Apple. But south of New York City, the catenary system is much older. The Pennsylvania Railroad was one of the first railroads to electrify their railroads, before the North American power grid was fully established. Because of this, there was no national standard, so the PRR used 25 Hz, as opposed to the 60 Hz that Amtrak used. This 25 Hz system is also used throughout the stretch of the Northeast Corridor south of the Hellgate Bridge, through the East River tunnels, and in Penn Station. The differing currents poses issues for most catenary locomotives. The only locomotives that can handle both frequencies are those of Amtrak, including their ACS 64s and their Acela train sets. For Metro North to operate to Penn Station, they'd need to either configure their trains to operate under the 25 Hz system or find an alternative measure. Since making these locomotives 25 Hz would be unnecessarily expensive, the MTA opted for a battery-powered locomotive in the Siemens Charger variant. These locomotives will draw electrical power from the catenary system north of the Hellgate Bridge before switching to a battery mode for the tracks through Queens, the East River Tunnel, and Penn Station. MTA plans to receive 13 new battery locomotives from Siemens, moving the Penn Station Access project to continue and opening new gateways for travel around the tri-state. Now we'll move a bit west to New Jersey. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy released his final budget projection for the Garden State, as his term comes to an end this year. In previous years, New Jersey Transit would receive roughly $600 million from state funding for the operations of a system that moves 225 million people every year. As funding uncertainty stems from Washington, Governor Murphy announced a new state corporate transit fee, which taxes corporations and directs that money to New Jersey Transit. The fee is projected to provide New Jersey Transit with an additional $815 million per year, meaning that the system would receive a combined record $1.4 billion in state revenue in 2026. New Jersey Transit has been an outlier in American state systems because it has never had a permanent funding source from the state. While this corporate tax is not permanent, it does lay groundwork for New Jersey Transit to make use of a huge cash infusion. Under new leadership in Chris Kaluri, it will certainly be interesting to see how NJ Transit makes use of the largest cash infusion from state sources ever. Even before the cash infusion, New Jersey Transit's two primary projects, the Portal Bridge North and Lackawanna Cutoff, have been fast progressing. The Portal Bridge North, which will carry the Northeast Corridor over the Hackensack River, is ahead of schedule and under budget, scheduled to carry trains within the next year and a half. On the opposite coast, in California, BART and Caltrain's efforts are finally beginning to bear fruit. BART's new safety initiatives and Caltrain's modernization project have been received overwhelmingly well by riders. A poll on Caltrain, ran by the parent agency, reports that 82% of voters in Santa Clara, San Mateo, and San Francisco counties reported a favorable view of Caltrain, and around 85% of riders have reported a favorable view of the system. This comes amidst a growing ridership for Caltrain, which saw a 41% increase in passengers in December 2024 compared to December 2023. BART also saw incredibly high satisfaction rate, as 73% of survey respondents were very or somewhat satisfied with BART, up 6% from 2022. Other indicators also showed that the average rating for train interior cleanliness was up by 14% in 2022, while station cleanliness was up by 8%. Our last stop takes us to the greater Cleveland area in Ohio. The transit authority in the area, the GCRTA, operates light rail lines along Cleveland's waterfront, as well as a heavy rail line and a bus system. The GCRTA has agreed with Siemens Mobility an extension order for new light rail vehicles along its light rail lines. The new S200s would replace 45-year-old current rolling stock, and follows an additional order of 30 S200 heavy rail cars to replace 40-year-old rolling stock on the heavy rail line. This order of 18 light rail vehicles builds on GCRTA's initial order in 2023 for 24 light rail vehicles. The earliest rolling stock is expected to arrive in 2026, after beginning construction at Siemens' manufacturing facility in Sacramento, California. And with that, this week in transit comes to an end. See anything I missed? Comment it below and I'll be sure to cover it soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the series. Thank you all for watching today's episode. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.